What's going on, you guys? Petplatypus here, and it's time to review Dragon Ball Super episode, oh, is this 35 or 36? I think it's 35. Starting off very professional. This episode was really good, though. I actually really enjoyed this episode of Dragon Ball Super. I'm going to try to keep this review fairly fast, but we'll see where it goes. We get Vegeta versus Frost, or, Vegeta one-shots Frost. Then we get some cool stuff with Hit, and the new robot guy, whose name I don't remember. I wish I did, though, because he's really, really cool. Has something to do with, like, Magma in his name, I believe. But he's really, really cool. And, yeah, we get Vegeta versus him, so we get through, not two fights, we get through about probably like a fight and a half. And, if you want to call Vegeta versus Frost a fight, of course. And, yeah, from a technical aspect, the pacing was really good. I liked the story progression. I liked some of the stuff going on behind the scenes. The comedy was on point. And, yeah, and the animation was honestly a cut above what it normally looks like. It wasn't amazing, it wasn't great. I still wish the series looked at least as good as back when Goku was fighting Beerus, not the episode 5, but the Super Saiyan God Goku versus Beerus. I wish it could still look at least that good. But it looked better than average, and the choreography was unique and different. I liked Vegeta going in there with those, he had like the cross arm, he was kind of doing like a little bit of like a Vegito thing with the kicks. Those were cool, he was underestimating his opponent. Standard Vegeta, and basically it's just a unique opponent doing unique and cool things. I liked the robot. Again, he's not a robot. I also like that he's a living creature. That's really, really interesting and really, really cool. And yeah, he shoots lava and he's all eccentric and he's like, no, you can't hurt my head. I'm going to smack it a bunch of times just to show you can't hurt it. And I like the sparks flying when he like bangs his chest and bangs on his head, and the teapot steam sound that he makes when he fucking powers up. It's really, really funny, but it's really cool. It's really unique. I like his abilities. He does like a spinning top move and shit. Some of his like rapid punching looked a little bit weird. It was sort of like, well, once he started really throwing them, it looked good, but when it was kind of like just switching back between the punches, it looked a little awkward. But it's Dragon Ball Super. It's kind of beating a dead horse to criticize the animation every episode. I've heard, I don't know if it's true, I have heard that these animators that are working on Dragon Ball Super are like newer animators that haven't done anything on this level yet, which I think is a bad idea because it's Dragon Ball. Let them go work on fucking like World Trigger or whatever else Toei is working on right now. Don't canned like Dragon Ball to a bunch of fucking scrubs. I mean, just don't do that. But anyway, have I mentioned that before in a different video? I might have already mentioned that in a different video. I don't remember. But if you don't know, apparently these animators are scrubs. That's what I've heard. And that's just, let them do in-between frames. Let them do talking scenes. Like I said, let them work on something that's not as high caliber as Dragon Ball. But, they did a pretty decent job in this one, though. And the preview for the next episode looks like it's going to have some pretty good animation as well. They handled Vegeta's animation, I noticed, pretty well. This episode looked better than the average. When, well, this was back when Dragon Ball Super had fairly consistent animation, but when he was fighting Beerus over Bulma getting smacked, that looked really nice. His beatdown against Frieza was really badass. So they handled Vegeta very nicely, which is kind of weird because he's not the main character, but I don't know. But it was cool to see him one-shot Frost, even though it looked a little awkward. I liked seeing how fast Frost smashed into the dome and put a hole in it, and then he fell back in. Frost trying to sneak away and Hit taking him out. I don't know what the hell Hit did, but it was really, really interesting to see it. And I like, he talked, he broke his silence, he's cool. He's got a cool design, and I can't wait to see more of him. But, yeah, just a lot of little interesting things going on. The rock, paper, scissors scene was funny. We got hints to Monaka and possibly being, like, not really all that powerful. It might just be a bluff on Beerus' part. That's interesting. Beerus did say a long time ago, though, that Goku is the second strongest person he's ever fought, and I don't see why he would have any reason to say that, unless there's some reason he wants Goku to think Monaka is that powerful. Or maybe there is something to Monaka and they're going to throw like a secondary twist on here, because him not being that powerful makes sense, but just have to wait and see. But yeah, I like Dragon Ball Super's story, and I like what they're doing with this tournament. So yeah, I can't give this episode anything lower than like an 8 out of 10. It's a very good episode of Dragon Ball Super. Of course, animation could always be better, but that's pretty much every episode. And the animation was better than average for the series. Not giving it high praise, not saying, oh, look at this hype animation or anything, nothing like that, but as far as the average goes, this was slightly above. The art was good and everything. Good pacing, lots of little things going on with Hit and Frost. Frost might be dead, not too sure. But yeah, I like all these guys that they're fighting. They all have unique personalities. Even the fucking robot guy, well, not robot, but you know what I mean. Even the robot guy, but not really, is fucking got an interesting personality, and he can't even talk, or he's talking, but they're not subtitling it. So I'm assuming he's not saying anything coherent. So yeah, who's left? Just Kabe. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. I think it'd be Kabe. The Saiyan and Hits. Those are the only two left. So that's interesting. Oh, and Goku's back in because they found the injury on him on his hand. That's cool. That's really awesome. It's actually a really fucking solid episode of Dragon Ball Super the more I think about it. It's easily 8 to 8.5. Very, very good episode of Dragon Ball Super. I really enjoyed it. The strategy of boxing in Vegeta, you know, bringing up all that heat in that enclosed space to try and make Vegeta tired faster, I'm assuming, get him to sweat. It's really cool. You know, one of the complaints people have about Dragon Ball, and I'm already realizing this review's not as fast as I wanted it to be, so I'm just going to keep going. The thing about Dragon Ball, a lot of people will just say, oh, it's just rapid punches and energy beams, there's not that many creative abilities. There are technically, but they're even more creative when it comes to Dragon Ball Super, I think. When you've got Beerus, like, yeah, I can just nullify an energy beam, and, you know, you've got, what else was there? You have, Frost with his little stinger, you've got this dude with his lava spit, and just being an organic machine robot guy. It's really, really cool. So, yeah, I have nothing much else to say. I just like the creativity and the story and all that. Hit seems like he's going to have some kind of unique power, so, yeah, I gotta say, they've done a really good job with Dragon Ball Super so far. Just that animation, man. If it had the animation, it'd be the complete package. It'd be a fucking amazing series. And it's still a really good series, but that animation just really should not be as subpar as it is. They should not have scrubs working on it. But I've already mentioned that. Don't want to ramble on too long. It seems like every episode of Dragon Ball Super, I end up going into like the series as a whole. It's kind of weird, but whatever. Next episode looks really good too, animation-wise, if I didn't already say that. It looks like he's going to do the final flash. That's a cool callback, so yeah. And the cool moment where all the characters like put on sunglasses because it was so bright. That was classic comedy. So yeah, next episode looks really good too. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I'll give this one an 8.5 out of 10. I'm going to call it a very good to great episode of Dragon Ball Super. But what did you guys think of this episode of Dragon Ball Super? Tell me in the comment section below. You can also follow me on Instagram or add me on PSN. I'm petplatypus on both. Give this video a thumbs up and share it on your social media. Both of those would help me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already or if you like what you've seen here. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.